Today's video is sponsored by Phone Rescue. With Phone Rescue, you can recover up to 30 types of different iOS data directly from your iOS device without a backup, directly from your device. Things like messages, contacts, photos, and so much more. You can also recover data, of course, from iTunes backups and iCloud backups as well, even if you've forgotten your iTunes backup password. Specifically, select the data that you would like to recover with Phone Rescue. As always, links will be in the description down below. Hey guys, iPadOS Help here. Welcome back to the channel. And today I want to talk about iOS 14 and things that Apple just continues to do wrong with the software for iPhone and iPads till this day. Now, don't get me wrong, with iOS 14, Apple brought a ton of awesome features to the iPhone, but there's just a few things that really need to be changed. So this video isn't so much of new features that I'm requesting or hoping for with iOS 15 and future software updates, but rather changes that really need to be made on iPhone in order to, in my opinion, improve the user experience. For example, here on the lock screen, and as I talked about this before, if you press on these shortcuts here on the lock screen, you can't really customize them. You either get the flash or the camera on the right, which makes no sense to me because if you swipe over to the right, you also get the camera. Apple should either allow users to customize these shortcuts at the bottom of the home screen or make a change to this panel here, not make it the camera, because you have two functions in the same spot, in my opinion. Of course, a lot of users want weather on the home screen and lock screen of iPhone, and I think Apple should allow users to actually bring these widgets that are on the lock screen pane over to the main lock screen. For whatever reason, iOS users can't really tap and hold and move these widgets over to the main page on the lock screen. And I think that would be a great idea. Apple will be able to bring the weather to the lock screen that way. And of course, if you have a widget for the calendar or the weather, you can just quickly take a glance at that directly from the lock screen. I think it's going to be really cool. Now, speaking of widgets, on iPadOS, you can't really place widgets on the home screen where the apps are at. So you have them here on the left, but you can't really place them on the home screen, which is kind of odd for me because you can do that on iPhone, but not for iPad. And the iPad has a bigger display, which in my opinion, it would be even better to do this on iPad, but Apple just continues to do that wrong. And I think they definitely have to change the way that the widgets work on iPads. Another thing that I don't like about iOS 14, now Apple did improve Siri in the Siri UI somewhat, but if you interact with Siri when you get the platter, when you get an answer to something, you can't really interact with the DOS. Siri will disappear. So if you're asking Siri something, you take a look at the reply, but once you try to interact with the OS, the Siri UI disappear. I think it is vital for Apple to allow users to interact with the software as you get a Siri reply. Just have a little platter on the top here, just like we have with notifications when you get a Siri reply, and then you can interact with the OS, because if it's a question and you want to go ahead and fact check it, or just something that you want to have alongside, for example, notes, and you want to take notes of something that Siri is giving you the answer to, then you should be able to interact with the OS as the Siri platter is on the home screen. But as of right now, if you invoke Siri and ask Siri something, you can't really interact with the OS because the Siri UI just disappears. So I think Apple should definitely allow users to interact with the OS as the Siri UI continues to stay on the home screen as a platter. One thing I never really understood about the app library feature is that this is folders within folders, right? So Apple doesn't really allow you to place folders inside of folders in the main page of iOS. But in the app library feature right here, this option allows you to have larger folders and smaller folders inside of those. So for example, here we have the social media folder, and then we have another folder inside of that. So why not just bring this entire platter here to the actual home screen? To me, it would make a lot more sense. And then that way you can have a folder inside of a folder, because honestly, I hardly ever swipe all the way to the right to go into these app library folders. Why not just bring that directly, the entire platter, over to the home screen of iPhone and then just call it a day? That way I think it's more simple, it's simplified, and I think users will actually find that very useful. Let me know if you would like that idea in those comments down below. And last but not least, I want to talk about the incoming call UI. Now, when you're on a phone call and you get another phone call, to me, this is the most confusing UI, and I think Apple just continues to do this wrong. Since iOS 7, I believe, this is what it looks like when you're on a call and you get a second incoming call. The UI to me is so confusing, and I always get it wrong for some reason. I end up hanging up on the other person to answer the incoming call, or it's just confusing to me. Now, if you agree with this one, let me know in the comments down below, because I'm not sure if you guys agree, but I just find it very confusing for a second incoming call UI when you go to either answer and hold, decline, or end and accept. It just looks very crowded. I just find it very, very difficult to understand. But these are wish list changes that I would like to see Apple implement within iOS and future software updates. As I mentioned, if you would like to see any changes, I would like to hear from you in those comments down below. Thank you for watching today's video, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.